Well, welcome back to another episode of the Partnernomics Show. As I mentioned from last week, we're doing a two-part series with Gavin Brauer here. Last week, we went through the first session, kind of talking a lot about his background and, would let him up to become an EOS implementer. And then in this session, we talk about EOS and, working with an implementer and the value that comes from that, but really like the challenges. What are some things that executives need to understand and kind of have figured out, and knowing what they're getting into when they dive into working with an implementer, and then really how to get the best and the most out of working with an implementer, doing an engagement like that. But interviewed a lot of different EOS implementers and different business operating system consultants and coaches over the years. And Gavin definitely dropped some truth bombs on us here, and definitely offers some great insight. So hope you enjoy this episode. Here we go.
Welcome to the Partnernomics Show, where industry thought leaders discuss the hottest topics in partnerships, ecosystems, and innovation.
The role of a coach is largely two things. One is to hold space, to provide the space for the person being coached in order for them to do what they need to do. So there's holding space. The other thing is a mirror. You're reflecting back to them. And you cannot be your own coach. You cannot be your own psychologist. It's like there's just something about our human condition where we can't coach ourselves. And so having an outside perspective who has the right structure and frameworks, and the right toolbox in order to then hold the space and reflect back to you and help you do the things that you need to do in order to get the results you want to get.
And somebody that is willing to truly be honest with you. It's not just certainly we need our friends, need to have conversations with those folks, but how many of them really tell us what we need to hear? Probably not most of them. You got to have professional coaches or professionals that have enough distance and skills and love for you to really give you to be that honest mirror, to give you the honest reflection of what you are. I mean, it's a lot of people have said, if you're the smartest person in a room, you need to get up and leave, right? If your coaches or your mentors, even your mentors, if they're not challenging you and they're only telling you that you're right, chances are you need to add another person or two to that mix, because
and that was actually something that made me fall in love with EOS. So I was a client of EOS before I became an EOS implementer. And I remember my coach, my EOS implementer, his name is Stas. The guy's amazing. He would come in and he would teach us the system. He would facilitate our meetings and he would coach us to be our best. He never had the answers for us. And a lot of times, I would just, Stas, come on, tell me what I need to do. And he would push back and he wouldn't give me the answer. He would keep saying, Gavin, the answer is in the room, meaning you and your leadership team either know the answer or you know how to go get it. I'm not going to give it to you. And that is a very fundamental core principle of EOS and how every single EOS implementer is trained, and we practice what we preach. And we are not here to give you the answer. We're here to help you figure it out for yourself. And that is one of the many reasons why this system and community is so powerful.
So Gavin, with that point, is it more because you need the executives to own it? I'm sure there's times when you and other implementers are kind of hearing these conversations and you're like, duh, the answer is get rid of Joe or hire somebody new or change this process, or you need some technology or whatever the case is. You're like, hey, here's a direction that you should go to at least get the answer, but you refrain from that. Let's go like one or two layers deeper. Why?
Yeah, so it's the difference between coaching and consulting. I have burned a lot of money on consultants. I've also, when you find the right consultant, they are amazing. The issue is when most of the stuff we're doing, I don't have all the answers. I'm not as deep in the business. They really know what's right. The client knows what's right. And they've got to be the one to do the work, because they've also got to be the one who implements it. So I'll give you two examples. One was where it didn't work. Another time is where it did work. Completely outside of EOS, but same principle. And this is about consultants. So I hired a sales consulting firm to help me with my bike shop, because I wanted to know how to be more proactive in driving revenue. And they came in and they gave us a really good playbook, and it was a great system, and it was really good advice they gave us. Once they left, it all fell apart because we didn't have the right structure within the organization, which actually came down to we didn't have the right person in the right seat to see that through. And I wasted my money. I learned some stuff along the way, but I didn't get the results from what I wanted to get because I didn't have the right person to implement. Another example, I was working in my dad's business as a high school kid, and he came to me one day. I'd finally got to the point where I got an office job. I was out of the hot factory. I was in air conditioning. I could like sit, and it was easy. The hard work was behind me. I'd paid my dues. And he goes, Gav, I need you to go back into the factory and implement a quality system. Like, Dad, I really don't want to do that. He goes, well, I'll give you an extra $1 an hour. And I'm like, you're paying me like, I think I was making like $7.50 an hour at the time. I'm like, an hour, like, no, not worth it. He goes, I really need your help. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And so we had a consultant. So my dad owned a Certifactory in Ontario, and he was a consultant from Certa Inc. who came in and taught us the quality system. He gave me a perfect system. The reason it worked is because I was there in that factory every single moment, making sure we implemented that full through. We had the right person in the right seat to implement it. And we went from the bottom quartile to the top quartile in 6 months. And I didn't even have a high school diploma. The difference was I was a dog on a bone with making sure the people in this factory bought into the system, knew how to follow it, and we did what we needed. Like one example, and this is where stuff falls down. It's the easy things that are so hard. One of the things that we had was we had box springs. So the box spring is like the foundation of the mattress. It's made out of wood, and the corners are nailed together and glued together so it holds. If you don't put enough glue, 3 years after somebody buys that bed, it's going to start to squeak and it's going to get returned. And so what Certa developed was they'd recognized that the easiest way to make sure there's enough glue in the box spring is if you can see the glue. Problem was most glue is clear and it dries clear and you can't see it. So they said, okay, you got to have pink glue. That was the standard. We had clear glue, and I'm walking through the factory and I'm trying to figure out if our box springs had enough glue in them, and I can't see it. So I go to the plant manager and I say, we need pink glue. And he goes, you know what? We've asked our supplier and they can't do it. I'm like, what do you mean they can't do it? And this is where I say simple but hard. Simple, the solution, add some pink dye to the vat of glue, whereas it's really hard to go to your supplier and really take a stance that I need you to change the way you manufacture your entire product for us. And we didn't have another supplier that we could go to. Like the power dynamic, we didn't have it. And we got to convince them to get the pink glue. And I was just a dog on the bone with a plant manager where like, I'm this like I said, a high school kid. I'm like, I need pink glue. I am not giving up. And every day I'd go into the factory and I'd say, I'm not giving up until I get my pink glue. Have you called them yet? Have you booked the meeting? Finally, like he's dragging his heels, and I'm like, one of us is going to talk to this factory because I am getting pink glue. Is it going to be you, who's the plant manager, or are you going to send a high school kid? I got my pink glue.
Man, yeah,
And
just
it is, and it's the same thing with EOS. There's all of these little things that is pink glue. They are so freaking simple. but so hard to get implemented. And when you have the dedication to running your business on a proper system and doing things effectively, you get amazing results. And it always falls down because we accept clear glue. And if you accept clear glue, you're going to have a squeaky mattress and it's going to get returned.
Yeah.
And getting a return mattress sucks. And I know what that's like because one of my jobs was I had to tear down those return mattresses. The most disgusting job I've ever done. If you can imagine what a mattress looks like after somebody has slept on it for years, I had to come in and tear these things down. It was gross. So
I
I
would
know what,
be after some pink glue too.
yeah. So trust me on this one. Do what's hard, get the pink glue, or you are going to be tearing down dirty, filthy old mattresses.
Well, even like EOS, right? I mean, all the EOS implementers. I mean, I feel like I've read through the book. I don't know how many times myself. I mean, it's not complex concepts. They're actually each very simple, and it's in a system. But to your point, I think the underlying component of it is it's change. It's a new way of doing things, and that's where the difficulty comes in. It doesn't make it complex, but it makes it really difficult.
I think Jim Collins, who wrote Good to Great, summed it up the best. Disciplined people taking disciplined thought and taking disciplined action. Being disciplined is hard. And I'm about to spoil the end of the book for those of you who haven't read it. But he gets to the end and and it's probably my favorite part of the book. He talks, why is it so important to be great? And his conclusion is it is just as hard, if not harder, to be mediocre than it is to be disciplined. And it takes more energy to be not disciplined than it does to be disciplined. But it's hard to be disciplined. And it takes a lot of intestinal fortitude and stick-to-itiveness and all of these qualities that we admire in human beings in order to be disciplined. And it is through being disciplined that you can become great.
Yeah.
And so it's just as hard to be mediocre, if not harder. Takes more energy, but you got to be disciplined.
Well, Gavin, I love the words on the back wall. I love the words from your LinkedIn profile. One of those you have is dream big, execute, and make the world better. Tell me, where did that come from?
I was trying to work on, I think it came like I was working on what are my 3 uniques as an EOS implementer. And because all of EOS implementers, there are over 850 of us now. Very similar skill sets, very similar experiences. We've all been trained in the same way, but you will never meet 2 different individuals. And so for me, what it actually represents is my 3 uniques, where I am a visionary. I am capable of dreaming big. I have very strong skills as an integrator and somebody who can execute. So dream big and execute. And so that is a reflection of these 2 sides of me. But also like we have a saying, vision without traction is hallucination. And for me, it's we've got to dream big in this world, but if we're just dreaming and we don't actually do anything about it and we don't get it done, we don't have the results, what's the point of the dream? So dream big and execute, and then make the world better is, again, like I own a company called KindHuman Bicycles. Like people tell me, and I know this about, like, I am a kind person. I care a lot. I care about myself, I care about the people around me, and I care about the environment and the society in which we live. So I have this deep burning passion to make this world better, which comes from probably, like, I got this from both my parents, but in different ways. And when I was a younger guy, forget how old, my dad told me about this thing called tikkun olam, which is a concept that comes from Judaism, which is to repair the world. And from the moment he told me that, it was something I've never let go of, where we all have an obligation to make this world better than the world we found. And so dream big, execute, make the world better. We have to want something big, and we got to dream, and we've got to envision a future which is different. We then have to turn that into reality, and we have to execute. And then hopefully we're doing something that makes the world better, as opposed to doing, you can have a big dream, you can execute, but it might not add a lot of value for other human beings. And I think that's just a waste of a life.
Yeah, man. Well said. Well said. Um, I want to talk a little bit about like what is it like to be an entrepreneur and adopting and implementing EOS for the first time. I want you to kind of talk or coach an entrepreneur out there, a business owner, a CEO that's thinking, yeah, I've heard about this EOS stuff. I know it can do some good for us. What's almost like kind of a pep talk or prep talk that you would give that leader?
So first is, you have to want it. Nobody else can make you want it. And it is a hard, challenging road for most people who go through this journey, because there's something, most of the times where we get hired, somebody is frustrated, they're hitting a ceiling, there's some, it's a great business, but there's some frustration that they are dealing with. And the solution to dealing with that frustration is, you got to look inside, and you've got to do the hard work. You've got to be prepared to get the pink glue. If you don't want it, it ain't going to work. Because what happens is, I remember like early in my journey, I had a client, we get through the first three, like there are three kind of like setup sessions where you're really learning the content in the system. And then after that, you get into what we call the mastery phase, where we're just getting into the quarterly cycle. And I remember I'd gone through focus day, vision building day 1, vision building day 2, and we had our actually we'd done a quarterly, and it was our second quarterly. And I get a phone call, and it was to cancel it. Some other priority came up, and that was the end of their journey, because they're like, yeah, we're going to rebook, blah blah blah, but like they weren't really committed. So you got to want it. You got to stay committed to the process, even because every session it's going to come up. I don't feel like I need this, or I'm overwhelmed. I've got other stuff I got to get doing. Um, you got to want it bad enough to stick to the process, because if you stick to the process, you'll get amazing results. The moment you start breaking the process, it'll break.
What, Gavin, what is the first, let's say 6 months? What is that journey like for a company? Yeah, just kind of talk us through what do they expect? What's the timing? Kind of what are you teaching?
So, the first part of the journey is, you've got to be prepared that you are going to be uncomfortable. So people come in on focus day, which is our first full day session, and you're starting to learn new things. You're starting to change your behavior, and that makes us very uncomfortable. It makes everybody uncomfortable. That is a normal, natural human reaction to change. And so you start at a level here, wherever you are, and all of a sudden your confidence drops. And then you come back for vision building day 1, where we start building the vision, and the confidence drops further until you get to the end of vision building day 2. And then after that, it's this like steady climb. So one is being prepared to have that beginner mindset, to be uncomfortable with change, and still keep going. So that's one. So that's kind of the emotional side of it. In terms of the what you actually learn and the change you make, we have one is, we call it spaced learning. So we come in and we teach you some stuff, you do some work. We give you 30 days to go practice that stuff. You come back and we work on it again, and we keep going deeper. 30 days later, same thing. So we have this space learning where you can learn, you can do, we can reflect, and we can refine, and we can build. That's another key thing about EOS and why it works so well. It's not a seminar.
Now, are those full day sessions?
Full day sessions, typically like 9 to 5. Full days, if you got to go later, usually we can go as late as you want. My longest session went, I think, 12 hours so far. And I've heard people who've done sessions longer than
That's
that.
a marathon, man. That's legit.
It is, it's hard work, but it's great. Most sessions are like 9 to 5. So there's some implementers who can get these done really like 7 hours. Um, I'm not that guy. I like to take my time. So yeah, it's a full day session of hard work, but it's really impactful work, and it will change your business for the better. I promise that, if you want it and if you stick to it.
Yeah, man, we love working with EOS implementers. I enjoy having relationships with dozens of them, and they're so passionate, about their work and what they believe in. You can't fake it. As an EOS implementer, you can't fake it.
Yeah, no, it is.
You show your true colors really quick.
Being an
But
EOS implementer is an amazing life, but it is really hard, and you can't fake it.
so, Gavin, reflecting back on the various clients that you've had over the years, what would you say there's like kind of this almost this hump that companies get over? It's like just, hey, stick with me for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. If you had to kind of put a line on it, when does it seem that companies kind of start to get that muscle memory and sort of start to hit their stride?
2 years on average.
Okay.
So what we do, so as an EOS implementer, we have something we call the 90-minute meeting, which is really our first session. The only difference between that session and our other sessions is it's 90 minutes, not a full day, and it's free. We don't charge for it. So we come in for the 90-minute meeting, and at the end of that 90-minute meeting, I am going to tell you that this is a 2-year journey to become your best. And what I'm looking from you is the emotional commitment to stick through with this for 2 years. At the same time, we do not require a financial commitment. And one of the beauties of this thing that Gino Wickman created is our guarantee, which is if you do not get value, please do not pay me. This stays intact every session we work together. So we have no retainers. There's no fixed contract. You are free to change implementers or stop EOS at any time. But I do ask when we get started that you want this and you are emotionally committed to the 2-year journey that it takes to get very proficient at running your business the way I believe a business ought to run.
There's no question. Like whenever we use Partnernomics implementers, whenever we work with companies, I say it feels like we're cheating whenever we work with an EOS organization. Because man, they're already bought off on process, already believe in goals, believe in accountability, have strategies, visions for where they're going. They've already done a lot of the hard part for us. It's just a matter of us kind of bolting in, this partnership motion, and then showing them, how to make that engine run. Gavin, you talked about being open, honest, and vulnerable, and kind of those being some qualities that you really believe in. I'd like to dig into that one some more. I know you're a big fan of a lot of these different thought leaders. There's 5 dysfunctions of a team from Patrick Lencioni, and he talks about trust, and one of those versions of trust being vulnerability trust. And I love that so much because I hate the fake it till you make it. And it drives me nuts whenever I hear it. But I think I love these 3 words that you share. I'd love for you to kind of just share more of that with our audience.
Yeah, so we start every session as EOS implementers. We have 3 expectations of our clients. It's to be open, honest, and vulnerable. And in my belief is that being open is all about the outside world. We are open to other ways of doing things, other people's ideas, things we haven't tried before. We're open to the outside. It's putting your needs and wants on pause for somebody else. That comes from a really good book called No Honesty. KNOW, honesty. If you want to get deeper into this, go read that book. So that is about being open. It's about others. Being honest is all about ourselves. It is our thoughts. It's our feelings. It is our true condition, and speaking that honestly. So we are expressing what's going on inside of us. Openness is about others. Honesty is about us. What I believe vulnerability to me is being open and honest, even when it's hard. And when we are vulnerable, we are living with an open heart. So our heart is open, we're letting the world in, and we're letting ourselves out. And that can be very scary. But my belief is, and what I know to be true for me, is that the more open and honest and vulnerable you are during your EOS session and you are with your teams, the better your session will be and the better your business will be. I also very much believe that the more open, honest, and vulnerable that we are every day of our life, the better our life will be. It is not easy, but it leads, in my mind, to a much better quality of life.
Man, that's awesome. I can't think of a better way to wrap this podcast up. Gavin, thank you so much for spending your time with me, man. I sincerely appreciate it. And I know we hit on some deep topics here, and I appreciate your openness and your willingness to be vulnerable and share your story with our audience. Thank you so much.
Mark, thank you so much for having me on. This conversation was very enjoyable for me. And I hope that somebody out there, we've helped them and we've made somebody's life better today. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of the Partnernomics Show. Don't forget to subscribe to get the newest episodes at thepartnernomicsshow.com.